And we're live. Welcome, welcome. Hello, ladies. This is Taylor Thompson. We're live Tuesdays with Taylor, and we have an amazing interview to come on today. This is actually Giving Tuesday, so this is after Black Friday. This is after Cyber Monday. This is Giving Tuesday. So I want to take a few minutes and talk about this for a little bit. So as you're coming on, let us know you're here. We want to say hi. We want to say where you're coming in from. We may have some people from across the globe, across the pond, so we want to say hi to you as you're joining. But here, stateside, this is Giving Tuesday, and for those of you who know about the She Network, part of what we do is we support women empowerment, which is a PCI global movement, and one of the things that they're focused on this Giving Tuesday is human trafficking. And so I'm going to be doing a little bit more information about that, so where you can donate and you can give to support education on how to prevent human trafficking. So it's a big, big subject. I don't want to take a lot of time to talk about it right now. We will talk about it later this afternoon. But I want to welcome everybody on today. We have my beautiful friend, Miss Shena Marie. Look how amazing that smile. I love that. And as you're seeing in the comment section, I can tell you, like, she walks on water, ladies. Like I'm just telling you, she can show us how to walk on water, right? How does a wife, a mom of two little ones, create two seven-figure businesses? You're gonna know today. So grab your pen, grab a notebook, chime in, and let us know you're here. So, Miss Shena, how are you today?
I am good, and I don't even swim, so I definitely don't walk on water. But
you just know where all the rocks are, right?
Yeah,
I love that. I love that. So let's talk about how did you get here? Because as growing up as little girls, did you? Oh, if you're like me, you would have never thought about, okay, how does somebody like me from the other side of the tracks, like how do I create a seven-figure business? And I'm sure that's the question that most women would want to know, like, what do you do and how did you do that? So let's take us back to like how you got started. Like, what's your background? Like, what's your story? How did you get here?
so I actually kind of, in a way, did grow up on the wrong side of the tracks. I grew up in a really small town, and I grew up in a mobile home, and so I was actually teased for being poor when I was little. Yay. I was called trailer trash in junior high. Who doesn't love being called trailer trash in junior high as a girl? Awesome. Yay. Trailer trash girls unite.
Overcome. I love it.
And I was in corporate sales, and I got married, and we had a son, and my husband used to travel a lot for work. And so he actually has been an entrepreneur forever. I never really got the whole dealing without a paycheck thing, but he wanted to start a business because he didn't want to travel anymore. And I had been in sales, so I was like, okay, we can do this together. So our first year in business with an 8-month-old, we made negative $6,000.
Okay, so let's go. I want to go back.
Okay.
Because you jumped forward quite a bit here. I'm going raised in junior high, trailer trash. How does one become trailer trash in becoming an entrepreneur? Did you go to college? Like, how did you meet your husband? Like, how did those bridges cross?
I did go to college. I was pre-med, so I had attended to become a doctor, but I just didn't want to go to school anymore. So after college, I was done. And I didn't really ever want to be an entrepreneur. I know that sounds weird now because I can't imagine my life any different, and it was the best decision of my life. But at the time, when my husband came to me, I was like, no way, no how. I don't want anything to do with business. I want a paycheck. But he had the vision and he wanted to do it, and he wasn't a salesperson and I was, so we couldn't afford to pay a salesperson, so I got nominated.
So kind of business what kind of business did you start out in?
So we own a concrete repair, coating, and polishing company. So again, I knew nothing. I'd been in sales, but I sold toilet paper. So I sold janitorial supplies to corporations. So, I mean, like if you went to the Denver Broncos stadium for 2 years and wiped your butt, I got paid. But
Okay,
but I didn't ever really want to do, I didn't know anything about concrete. I didn't know anything about business consumer sales. But at the time, we didn't really have a choice. So it was like learn or starve.
so whenever sometimes that's a big scary word, and because most of the ladies here inside of this group are like network marketers, and so we think we understand the concept of sales, but you're talking about a brick and mortar type business, but the concept and the philosophy is still the same as far as sales. But that's kind of a scary thing. How do you go from going into a paycheck and then how to that? I mean, there had been a lot of barriers that you had to overcome and challenges. How do you talk to people? I mean, in network marketing or, in business, whenever to get sales, you have to learn how to talk to people and how to communicate, How did you train yourself? What did you do? What kind of skills did you learn to be able to, because here's the thing, and when you're in sales, it's do or die, it's sink or swim, right? And especially whenever you're the only one, and if it's you and your husband, what did you do? How did you overcome that challenge?
Well, I think because I didn't really have a choice, it was kind of good. I had to go out and I had to get good. And so I had to learn as much as I could about what I was selling. Literally, I knew nothing about concrete, and now I know too much. And then I learned as much sales as I could. I trained, and I did. And then I took every negative experience and just saw how I could learn from it, because I believe there is no such thing as a negative experience. It's just a learning experience. So you really have to disconnect yourself from whatever you're selling. So in network marketing, especially, it gets hard because you're in essence kind of selling yourself, but you still have to disconnect yourself from it and say, hey, I'm selling myself as a product or my product as a product, and just learn and keep going.
I think that most people in sales or business is a challenge that they have to overcome because they take it personally, right? So what you're saying is that challenge that you had to initially overcome was like learning how to, okay, not take it personal. They were not rejecting you as a person. It's just, no, not right now. This is not the product for me. Larry and I always call it the natural logical conclusion, that this is, either I want to buy or I don't want to buy, or I want to join or I don't want to join. So I think that right there is such a nugget for most entrepreneurs that you can take away is that I love what you said. There's no negative experience. And if you learn how to use every experience as a learning experience and not a negative one, that's key in being an entrepreneur anywhere, no matter what kind of business you have. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. Because honestly, a lot of stuff you can't control happens, and you can control your mindset surrounding what happens. Like this year with Corona, honestly, at the beginning of this year in March, we didn't know if our business was going to get shut down. And so that's really scary. And there's a lot of stuff with the government, we have no control over that, but we had to focus on what we could control in terms of our business. Like, okay, if we get shut down, how do we still pay our employees? How do we do all these things? And so you really have to focus on what is in your power instead of all the other things that you can't, because when you try to focus on everything, you just end up overwhelmed and you end up getting in this box where you feel like you have no control, when really you have a ton of control. It's just over the specific things that are in your wheelhouse.
So we're talking about, we're specifically about two different businesses. what you're referring to is your current brick and mortar business, not your network marketing business. So, which is a life lesson, really a great lesson in and of itself. So many times, I think, whether coronavirus or no coronavirus, that we tend to start looking at the things that we have no power over instead of really embracing the things that we do have power over, we do have control over. Number one being our mindset and our attitude. That's something that we have complete control over. We have complete control over our activity. And I think that this is such a great lesson, in the sense that you've got to put your blinders on and you've got to focus on what you can do. You can't, because worrying about all the other outside set of circumstances does not change what you can do today. That's such a great lesson. I love that.
Yeah, and it will only make you freaked out. And it will only slow you down, because the more you focus on the crazy around you, the less that you're going to get accomplished in the day. Because the one thing every single person has in common is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so you have the choice to take those 24 hours and that 7 days a week and be the most efficient you can be with your time. I mean, as a mompreneur, I have 2 little kids that are currently distance learning. And so me being uber efficient with my time and really only focusing on what I need to do in that moment that will push my business forward is 100% the number one thing that I can do every single day to keep moving forward and keep building.
Well, so whenever we talk about business, right, you have a brick and mortar business, and you have a network marketing business.
So I have a brick and mortar concrete repair, coating and polishing company, and then I have an insurance brokerage.
Okay, so
not network marketing, because I'm a network marketing dropout.
That's fine. Okay, that's. I mean, I missed that part. So how did you get to? So brick and mortar and insurance, how those don't even connect at all. Like how
they don't. So honestly, I really hate concrete. That sounds bad, because it has been very fruitful for me and my husband, but it's just not my passion. I really love helping people, and 3 years ago, I was approached with an opportunity to get into insurance, and I just saw it as a way to really truly help people protect all the things that they have built, right? Because you spend all this time and money building up to have the nice house, to have the nice car, while at the end of the day, it's your insurance that protects it. So I really fell in love with insurance, and I started a brokerage, and I was able to scale that to $1 million in 18 months.
Wow. Okay, so that's so. I love it. So was this a new business? How old is this business? Whenever you say 18 months, how old is this business?
So this business is 3 years old now, but I scaled it through recruiting other agents to work under me in 18 months to that level of production.
Okay, so this is network marketing.
Kind of, yeah.
This is still recruiting. Yeah. This is leverage. It's the same concept, the same principle hold true. I mean, and doing this no matter what, doing this around your family as a mom, as a mom of 2 little ones. And there's so many women that connect with you whenever you call it, I love how you call it distance learning, right? Distance learning. I mean, who would have thought in this same time that you literally have turned into not only a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, but now you're a homeschool teacher. So whenever you talk about, we only have 24 hours in the day, how do you juggle that? Like whenever you talk about 24 hours in the day, we all have it. Nobody has more. Nobody has less. How do you manage that? And how do you appropriate your time and delegate those things and responsibilities? How do you leverage that?
So I actually took a little bit of medical terminology or what they do. And in a trauma situation, they do what's called triage. So they take whatever, so there's 5 people and they give them a color to delineate how like emergent they are. So what I do is the same thing with my life. I have certain things like appointments or, my kids getting on their Zooms that are in the red zone. They have to happen at a very specific time every single day or on that day. So those can't be moved. They are red. And then I have yellow, which is stuff that really should be done or needs to be done. But if I don't get to it today, it's not going to kill anything. It's not going to kill my business. And then I have the green stuff. Green is things that maybe I want to do or fun things, anything that really can kind of be popped anywhere. And so I just triage my life. So as stuff comes at me, I, in my brain, give it a color and say, okay, is this red, yellow, or green? And then that delineates where it goes in terms of my day. So I need...
This is a powerful concept, ladies. Like, I hope that you are writing this down because I love what you're saying here. Because so many times, especially as entrepreneurs, we don't know how to enjoy ourselves. And we get distracted. And something comes our way, and we don't compartmentalize it properly. So it comes our direction, and we deal with it as it comes instead of putting it in. I love what you say, triage. I've never been able to. I've never heard of a name like this before. So this is great. Red, yellow, green. What is a must, has to, no negotiables, has to take place. And then it comes and you put it in categories each day and deal with it accordingly. Such a powerful, powerful thing. So if we're talking about children, you're talking about, homeschooling. What do you do because you're dealing with 2 different businesses. How do you deal with businesses? Like, in other words, because, and I'll use it in terms of, okay, so you have to do income producing activities to grow your business.
Yep.
Every single day, daily method of operation. But what what would that look like? Would that be a red? Would that be a yellow? How would you compartmentalize that?
Well, it really depends on the activity, right? I mean, if you have, like, for my recruiting activities, I have scheduled calls with people. So I have them schedule a call with me on Calendly. So those are all red. If someone calls me out of the blue to talk, then that would be yellow. I get back to them that day, but whenever I can that day. So just really, making sure your set appointments are always red. With kids, lunch, I have their lunchtime is set out, and I know that they're not going to be on Zoom. They're not supposed to be in class. So that's our time together. So that's a red activity. I'm going to be with them. And so I don't schedule other appointments during that time. I might return a couple of calls, but nothing where kid noise background is going to be a problem. But I mean, this really has to be tailored to your own life. Like, every single person is going to have red activities versus yellow and green. For me, I'm actually trying really hard to get more active on social media. So my social media checklist is red because I have to make it red or I won't do it. But because so many things will come at me. But, 6 months ago when I didn't really care, it was yellow. So it's really, and especially if you're trying to use social media to grow your business, you want to make sure that your income producing activities in terms of social media are your red activities and you're always getting them done and having a checklist or something that helps you to make sure you actually get them done.
This is great. So whenever you overcome, is this your strategy to do that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, because I mean, if I wrote out a list of all the stuff I needed to do in a day, I would probably just want to cry. But if I just sit down and say, okay, it's like your 24 hours is a jar. And you have to put the red marbles are the biggest. And so if you try to put in the green sand first and then put the red marbles in, you'll never fit. But if you put the red in, then the yellow marbles, then the green sand, you'll fit it all easily.
I love this. So, about one of the, am I having feedback here? Do you hear me?
I can hear you. I don't hear any feedback though.
Okay. So that was one of the things that were going to be the takeaways for the ladies today was, overcome overwhelm. I love that. Now you said how to fix your finances. That was going to be one of the things that you would share with the ladies today. You want to go into that's a big broad term, like fix your finances. Like everybody's like, what does that mean? And what does that look like to you? And how do you do that?
So for me, there's, you have your personal finances and your business finances. And I usually see that when people have one that's kind of finagled, they have the other one that's finagled too. And so you really want to make sure that you know the true cost of everything. And this is especially true in business. I see this actually a lot with network marketers is they spend a lot of money on things, but they don't see them as business expenses. And so they don't write them off properly. And then they end up paying taxes on them, which they didn't have to. So just really making sure that you're, seeing the true cost of your business. So like if your company requires you to have like a fee for the internet or your website every month, that's a tax deductible expense. If you have to buy a certain amount of product to be commissionable, that's also a tax deductible expense. So just making sure that you're tracking all of these things and just really starting out from day one with 2 separate bank accounts, making sure that your business stuff comes and goes from your business account and your personal comes and goes from your personal account. Because that'll help you to really, at the end of the year, be able to see, did I make money in my business? Did I actually create the income I desired? Because a check coming in for $10,000 doesn't mean you actually made $10,000. So really figuring out what the actual profit is versus just whatever you brought in.
Yeah, this a lot of people do not set up the right bank accounts. And they don't put them in the right channels to begin with, to where they can see what is profit, what is hard cost, and what is actually what did they make. So they jumble everything together. And so that's, if you're just starting out as an entrepreneur, that's one of the wisest things to do, is making sure that you're separating the accounts out. And we partner with, a lot of Courtney Epps. She is we partner together. She does tax strategies for the members inside of the She Network for a smaller fee at a discount. So she's amazing because she really does focus on helping entrepreneurs get as many tax breaks as they can based on what you said. Most times people they don't realize everything, and as an entrepreneur, you can actually save money by learning how to write things off. Even like an educational program, those are write-offs because it helps you build your business. So that's such wisdom. So whenever you talk about exploding your profits, right? Because I find it very interesting. Your story is very fascinating, from coming from somebody like, I'll say coming from the other side of the tracks like me, and I can say that because I get it. To build 2 7-figure businesses is such a powerful statement. How do you, let's just say, working with your team in your insurance business, okay, exploding your profits, what would that look like? How would you show somebody how to do that?
Well, I call it the profit picture system. So it really comes down to the P's of your profit picture. So the first one is your people, like who is involved in your business. And this is in every business. I think especially as solopreneurs, people think, oh, it's just me. Well, it's probably not. I mean, if you have anyone helping you, like a tax strategist, or you have a nanny, or if you have somebody who comes and cleans your house, that's all people you can pay for with your business profits. And so that's all people that help make your day more efficient. So like me, I there's a lot of stuff around my house I don't do. I hire people for that because A, I don't like doing it, and B, I don't want to. So I don't.
Okay, so this is great. Share some of the things like like you're paying somebody to help you, because this is almost like an employee, because it's, especially if you work from home, you can definitely leverage that, especially as a write-off, especially the taxes, because it's part of supporting you running your business. So share that with the ladies.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, I would say, look at how much money you think you're worth. So if your goal income is, say, $100 an hour, you need to look at all of the things you're doing in a day and say, are these all $100 an hour activities? And if they aren't, then you need to get to a place where you're offloading everything that's under $100 to other people, because it's not, I hate to use the word worth your time, but if your goal is $100 an hour of income, you spending your time on $10 an hour tasks is not worth it.
This has always been like what Larry and I call the essence of time management. And that is, do not do anything that someone else can do. You only want to be focused on the activities that only you can perform. All the other, so if you take what Shena's saying here and you start making a list of what you do daily, and whether you like it or you don't like it, it doesn't matter, like laundry or whatever that is. I mean, all that stuff that has to be done. As moms, we all know that. Cooking, whatever. I mean, like, whenever you start thinking about those tasks, the question is, can somebody else do this? Or do I get pleasure out of it? Do I want to do it? Because I know that there's some ladies that absolutely love cooking. I'm not one. So I have a chef come in, right? So, I mean, it's something that I have no pleasure. I derive no pleasure from shopping. I derive no pleasure from cooking. So it's something I choose not to do, because it's why, right? So I love this. So share with the ladies some of the things that you pay other people, so you can focus on doing what only you can do. What do you do?
So, I haven't cleaned a toilet in my house in 4 years. That's the biggest one. And then when my children, so now they're both in school, which hasn't really worked out very well this year with the whole distance learning thing. But before, I had a nanny at least 2 days a week, because I needed to be able to go do estimates and have in-person meetings and stuff. So I would pack those 2 days with those meetings and have someone scheduled to take care of my kids on those days when they were younger. Before, my daughter's in kindergarten this year, though. So hypothetically, they're supposed to be in school every day. But so I did invest a lot of money into childcare for many years, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
So let's talk about that for just a minute here, because I really feel like that is one of the biggest things that women, and especially moms, really wrestle with. And let's dive into this just a minute here, because I know that whenever you go back to the triage thing, and you were talking about like your lunch with your kids, we deal with so many moms and the mom guilt. Ladies, how many of you out there have dealt with mom guilt, right? Mom guilt, because we think that we're going to have a business and we're going to work from home. And so if you're doing your business, we have so many women that feel guilty because they're doing their business and they're not being mom, because that's the reason why they stayed home. Let's talk about that, and how did you ever experience that, and how did you overcome it?
I did a little at the beginning, when my son was really, really little, and putting him in, in care. I still did only 2 days a week. Before a while, when my husband and I were building our business one winter, because it's very seasonal, I actually took a job. And so I got to see what full-time childcare was like. And the mom guilt was way worse. So 2 days a week is nothing. And I feel like for me, because I love working, I love being a business owner, I love being able to serve my clients, help my employees to have great incomes. And so for me, I'm a better mom with the time that I'm with them when I have that time away to focus on my business. So
I love this. I think it's so true, especially whenever, it's like whenever I'm coaching with women and moms and we deal with this particular subject, it's like whenever, especially whenever you do and you categorize, I never categorized them in colors, but so I love this. I'm definitely going to use it. It's so brilliant. It's just brilliant. But it was like, really chart out your day and pigeonhole the time that you are going to be with your children or be with your business. And then whenever it's delegated and it's designated, then whatever you're doing or whatever you're scheduled to do, be there, right? Whether that's mom or entrepreneur, you have to be focused on the task at hand because you've carved out the other time, because otherwise it gets so convoluted and it's messy and there's too much mom guilt going on at that time. I want to go back to the subject about your team. So, is this whenever some of the stuff that you shared do you work with your team like this? Do you teach your team these concepts? And how often do you meet with them and what does that look like?
So for my insurance company, all of my agents are all subcontractors, so they're not technically my employees. They are their own business owners. They're just under my umbrella. So it's very akin to a team leader in network marketing. We have a weekly Monday morning meeting, just to talk about anything new that's coming around the pike, and then also to do some training and things like that. And then I am available one-on-one if anybody's having, they want lead generation ideas or they want, time management ideas, anything that they want. And then we also have a online system that we use for some different training and stuff that's specialized to the insurance industry.
I love this. So you think about insurance, they don't think about it being leveraged, right? So because it is something like, are you under a certain umbrella? Is it your insurance company or are you under another hub, or how does that work?
So I have a broker, so I have access to carriers, but other than access to carriers, that's all they give me. So basically it's mine.
I love that. And so so the people that you bring in are they're subcontractors, but you pay them or you supply the product for them. How does that work?
So I supply a lot of like the back end things, like the access to the carriers, and then a lot of support and things like that. And then they get a commission from the sale of the insurance.
Really cool. Very cool. So let's tell the ladies here, because whenever you look at your story, whenever you look at what you've been able to accomplish, that had to have had some mindset. Tell us what do you use? How do you train yourself? What are some of the tools that you use to develop mindset or do you know what I mean? Like we all go through challenges. We all go through times, especially you talked about, with your business and, starting in March with the coronavirus. What did that look like for you and how did you stay focused? What are some of the tools that you used?
So a few years ago, I started doing a daily gratitude journal. And it really changed my life. Like we had a year over year that was kind of stagnant, and we 3 years into our business at my concrete company, we had a large client in the middle of winter who didn't pay, and we almost went bankrupt. And it was a really, really tough time. And right at that time, I was introduced to a coach, and she's huge into gratitude. And so I had my gratitude journal, and I just really delved into that practice. And so every single day, gratitude, growth, and goals. So every morning, 10 gratitudes. And sometimes it's something as dumb as I'm grateful that there's a sun in the sky that warms the planet, you know? Yeah, so it's really got to pull from wherever you can to get those gratitudes. Just making sure that you always start your day with the gratitude journal and then writing down my goals and then reading 30 minutes a day and writing down what I learned from what I read and how I'm going to use that in my day going forward. And so starting my day that way, it just always starts you on a fresh path. So when all the stuff starts coming at you, you can just kind of recenter to your gratitude, growth, and goals every single day. So honestly, that practice changed my life and 100% helped explode my businesses.
So whenever you're in your life, I mean, there may be some naysayers out there, like, okay, how, like, because that sounds so elementary, right? I mean, because I've heard, I mean, I do a lot of these interviews, right? So I'm here, I hear these kind of things, but tell me from your perspective, I mean, you say life-changing, what does that mean exactly? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what does that mean? Changed your life? Because it sounds like one really changed. I mean, because if you've never practiced this, I want to hear it from your perspective. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, well, before I started, we were struggling and I was really, I don't like to use the word depressed, but I was really kind of, everything affected me. Everything bad affected me. When we were supposed to be getting a $50,000 check from a guy, and instead we got a letter saying that we were getting sued because he just didn't want to pay. I mean, that it affected me huge, and I was so just, and I didn't even know how to kind of I was like in a funk, and I didn't know how to get out of the funk, and I was so stressed all the time, like, oh my gosh, my gosh, my gosh, how are we gonna do this, all the things. And when I started the gratitude practice, that's when I started recognizing first all the good things that were happening. Because even though all that stuff happened and it turned out this dude was a total scammer and that was awful, we made it through. And it was just putting one foot in front of another, and we came out on the other side bigger. And so there's so many things to be grateful for. And it comes back around kind of to that concept of just focusing on what you can control. And it's the same thing, like focusing on the good, because it's like that book, A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. You have the power in your brain to focus on all the crappy things that are happening versus focusing on all the amazing opportunity that's in front of you.
Wow.
And so it really did, yeah, maybe it's lame to say change my life, but it truly did change my life, because that is what helped me to stay focused every single day on what I could control, and then triaging and just powering through to where my businesses are now.
Love that. So whenever you read, do you have a go-to book that you like? Or that, like, okay, whenever you feel yourself going in a funk, or like, do you have like a book like your go-to, or do you have a book that you're reading right now that you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever?
So a book that's kind of my go-to, but it's newer, is by Shena Marie-Interview. It's called The Audacity to Be Queen. It is awesome. It's really, really good. And so
Audacity to Be Queen.
The Audacity to Be Queen.
And give me a couple of takeaways that why.
So she talks a lot about that it's okay to want more. I think as moms and women, a lot of times society tells us that we need to be satisfied with just surviving. Oh, you have a beautiful house and a beautiful family. Why can't you just be happy with that? And maybe there's nothing wrong with being happy with that, but there's nothing wrong with wanting more. So Gina, she has one chapter that says, take a stand for the ant. Taking a stand for wanting what you want and having your desires and embracing what you truly want and not allowing other people's judgments to affect that. And as a mompreneur, I feel like we get that a lot. And so
Yeah.
just really taking that stand for the and, like, no, I can be a kick butt mom and a kick butt, entrepreneur, and I don't have to choose. I can take a stand for the and.
That's awesome. A great takeaway. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to having you inside the membership and doing like a training. I love. I mean, there's a lot of nuggets out of today, especially with the triage. That was brilliant, just brilliant. And I hope, ladies, as you're listening to this, like you go back and listen. It's so brilliant to be able to do that. This has been such a pleasure to get to know you. I certainly do appreciate you taking out time to be here, share with the ladies from your business, from your kiddos. Yeah, that's awesome. So any last words of wisdom for the ladies?
Just remember that for such a time as this, you were created, and whatever desire was placed on your heart was placed there for a reason. So don't ever let it go and just keep running for it.
I love that. All right, ladies, that is it for us today. My name is Taylor Thompson. My guest here, Miss Shena Marie, and I hope you all have a blessed, amazing day. And we will be coming in and share more with you about Giving Tuesday. So be tuned for that. And Shena, I'll say bye to you privately. So that's it for us, ladies. We will see you next time. And that's it. Bye-bye.